Sometimes life tests our strength in ways we never expect. But in those moments of kindness, destiny often hides its most beautiful surprises. This is the story of a single mother whose one simple act of compassion changed the course of her life forever. Before we begin, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Grateful Tales for more heart-touching real-life stories. And don't forget to tell us in the comments where you're watching from. We love hearing from our amazing viewers all around the world. Maya had always believed that life was a series of storms, and she was meant to survive each one alone. After her husband left without warning 3 years ago, she had been raising her 6-year-old son Liam on her own. Her mornings began before sunrise, juggling work at the local diner and motherhood with barely enough strength left for herself. Every day felt like a race she was losing, yet she never stopped running. Still, somewhere in her heart, she longed for a sign, something to remind her that kindness, love, and miracles hadn't completely disappeared from her world. One chilly evening, as the sun dipped low behind the old oak trees of her small town, Maya was walking home with groceries in her arms and Liam skipping beside her. She noticed an elderly man in a wheelchair struggling to cross the uneven sidewalk. His hands trembled as he tried to wheel himself forward, but the front wheel kept getting stuck in a crack. People passed him by, glancing briefly before returning to their phones or their hurried steps. Without hesitation, Maya rushed forward, setting her groceries down. "Here, let me help you," she said softly. The man looked up, startled but grateful, his pale blue eyes filled with both exhaustion and dignity. The man introduced himself as Mr. Henderson, a retired school teacher who had recently lost his wife. He was on his way to the small park nearby, the same one where he and his late wife used to sit every evening. Maya gently pushed his wheelchair along the uneven path as they talked. Liam walked beside them, holding the man's hand like an old friend. When they reached the park bench, Mr. Henderson smiled faintly and said, "You have no idea how much this means to me, young lady. People don't stop anymore." His words carried a quiet sadness that made Maya's chest tighten. "It's nothing, really," she replied. "We all need a little help sometimes." But deep down, she knew she was speaking to herself as much as to him. Over the next few weeks, Maya saw Mr. Henderson often. Sometimes she found him sitting alone by the pond feeding ducks. Other times, he visited the diner where she worked, always asking for her section. He would tell stories about his late wife, about love that lasted decades, and about how he believed people were brought together for reasons they might never understand. Maya, listening between coffee refills and orders, found herself drawn to his warmth. It had been so long since someone spoke to her with such genuine kindness. Mr. Henderson noticed the exhaustion in her eyes and would always say, "You remind me of my wife, strong, stubborn, but with a heart that refuses to stop caring." One afternoon, as Maya walked him home, Mr. Henderson invited her and Liam in for tea. His house was old but cozy, filled with framed photos and the smell of cinnamon. As they sat in the living room, Maya noticed one picture in particular, a young couple dancing in the rain, laughing like children. "That was the last photo before she got sick," he said softly. Maya smiled through misty eyes. "You really loved her," he nodded. "With everything I had, and I believe she'd want me to help someone who's forgotten what love feels like." Maya didn't quite understand what he meant, but she felt something stir in her and a strange, fragile hope. A few days later, Mr. Henderson didn't come to the diner. Concerned, Maya went by his house after her shift. The door was slightly open. She called out, but there was no response. Inside, she found him unconscious near his chair. Panic rushed through her. She called an ambulance, stayed by his side, and held his hand until help arrived. In the hospital, the doctor said he'd had a minor stroke, but he'd recover with rest. Maya visited him every day, bringing soup, reading to him, sometimes just sitting quietly. She didn't realize it then, but Mr. Henderson had become family, the father figure she never had, and the friend who made her believe goodness still existed. When he recovered, he told her, "Maya, I don't have much time left, but I do have something I think might bring light back into your life." A week later, he introduced her to Ethan, his nephew, a quiet, kind-hearted man who had recently moved back to town after working abroad. Maya met Ethan at the hospital, and their first conversation was awkward but comforting. There was something about his calm nature, the way he listened more than he spoke, that made her feel safe. Over the next few weeks, Ethan began helping Maya with small things, fixing a broken door handle, walking Liam to school, or joining them for dinner at the diner. Slowly, laughter began returning to Maya's life. But just when everything seemed to be falling into place, Mr. Henderson's health took another turn. This time he didn't make it home. Maya stood by his bedside during his final moments, tears streaming down her face as he whispered, "Promise me you'll keep believing, Maya. Love finds its way when kindness leads the way." Those were his last words. At the funeral, Maya held Liam close, feeling both a deep sorrow and an unexplainable peace. She realized that Mr. Henderson had given her something far greater than she'd ever expected, a second chance at life, and maybe, just maybe, at love. Months passed. Ethan stayed in touch, helping her navigate the empty space Mr. Henderson left behind. They started spending weekends together, taking Liam to the park, the same bench where everything began. One afternoon, as they sat watching the sunset, Ethan handed her a small letter sealed in an old envelope. It was from Mr. Henderson. Inside, the words read, "Dear Maya, I once believed my purpose ended when my wife left this world. But meeting you reminded me that love doesn't die. It transforms. If you're reading this, I hope you've found what I once had. You deserve it." Tears streamed down Maya's cheeks as Ethan gently took her hand. "He wanted me to make sure you never walk alone again," he said softly. That evening, as the sky turned golden and Liam ran laughing through the grass, Maya looked at Ethan and smiled through her tears. She finally understood. The kindness she had given came back to her in the most unexpected way. Sometimes the smallest act of compassion can rewrite the story of your life. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Grateful Tales. Tell us in the comments below. Do you believe one act of kindness can change everything? Your story might inspire someone else to believe again.